Does this couple have the money to travel the world and buy a second home? We've analysed their spending and they are going to be shocked by what we've found. Welcome to Get Started Investing, a show that helps you make the most of your money. Today we are putting that into practice with a brand new series, Boost My Budget. We unpack listeners' real budgets with expert help and show how to track better, save more, and stress less. My name is Bryce, and as always, I'm joined by my equity buddy, Ren. How are you going?
I'm very good, Bryce. Very excited for the launch of this new series, Boost My Budget. We're going deep into personal finance to help people make the most of the money that they are earning. Because we all know that the biggest determinant of your future wealth is your savings rate. The amount that you cannot spend from your salary, that you can put to work in the market, that's what matters. The best way to improve it is to get on top of your spending. And that's what we're going to be doing with some expert help in this Boost My Budget series.
That's right, and we have two community members, Emily B and Emily T, a couple who have submitted their budget to put under the microscope for our expert, Lexi Smith, a money coach from MoneyVine. Now, Ren, this is all in partnership with PocketSmith, who are supporting not only our Emily B and Emily T today, but all Equity Mates community members with their budgeting app.
That's right. A huge thank you to PocketSmith for their support, for helping us keep everything here on Get Started Investing free, and for supporting the community members that come on Boost My Budget by giving them a 12-month subscription free so they can get on top of their spending.
PocketSmith is a personal finance tool that connects to your bank accounts. It tracks your spending, helps you plan ahead. Whether you're saving for a house or just trying to rein in those Uber Eats bills, PocketSmith is the platform for you.
It even gives you a full view of your net wealth with investment tracking via ShareSite.
Equity Mates listeners get 50% off your first 2 months of the PocketSmith Foundation plan. Head to pocketsmith.com/equitymates to get started. It is a platform I use and I find quite helpful.
Thank you for that personal endorsement.
Yeah, well, I thought I should add it in there.
Now, we're about to throw to our conversation with Lexi, Emily B, and Emily T. We just want to flag that Emily B and Emily T are up on the Central Coast. They were going to join us in the studio, but unfortunately they got flooded in. So they were online and then over the phone as internet was a bit patchy. So bear with that audio. And one final thing before we get into it, if you want to speak to Lexi and have a conversation off mic and off camera, you can head to equitymates.com/advice, fill in the form and we can put you in touch.
So Boost My Budget is all about getting community members to submit their budgets and get an expert to come in and help them, I guess, review it or formulate a budget from the very beginning. And we are very lucky to have an expert with us in the studio today, Lexi Smith from MoneyVine. Lexi, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're an expert in creating budgets.
Apparently.
Can you give us a bit of an introduction to your background?
Was a financial advisor for 10 years and found myself really wanting to lean into the cash flow piece of financial planning and knowing how much optimizing your cash flow can really support your financial future. So, you can earn a lot of money, but spend it all and not really get anywhere. So really helping people optimize that is what I do day to day now.
Nice. I might take that up because as I've told Ren, Ren thinks my budget is impenetrable. So
you've told me there's not a dollar more that could be squeezed out of your budget.
Not true.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about Bryce as much as he would like that to be the case. We are here to talk to two community members who have agreed to join us for our very first Boost My Budget episode. So thank you for taking the plunge with us. Emily B and Emily T, welcome to Get Started Investing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us.
I'm ready to be mortified.
No, it's a safe space here. No one's going to have as bad a spending habits as me, so you're all good. But can you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Oh, God, what a boring question.
Yeah, where to begin?
Where do you work? Where do you live?
Okay, we live on the mid-north coast. We both came up here as teachers and that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years. We've got 2 dogs, both rescues. One's a cattle dog. One, I don't know, she's white and disgusting, but we love them so much. We bought our house
about a year ago.
Yeah, met almost 5 years ago. Love at first sight.
Yeah, been going strong ever since.
So can I just jump in there? Because I had previously written out a little description for Emily B and Emily T about...
Just from their finances?
Yes,
Oh,
just
this
looking
is
at their
interesting.
transaction
Okay.
history. I like to say that I know some people better than they know themselves. So let's see how well I did. So you both work for the education department. You have joint finances using a joint account. You do have a pet. I did guess an oodle. I think I'm a little off there, but pretty close. You enjoy wine, live shows, and travel. Am I right?
Yes.
And you are in a high spending season, as I would describe it, with home improvements and an engagement.
Wow. Congratulations.
Okay. So we're not actually engaged yet.
Wait, have we just ruined a surprise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were very
bought
conscious of that preparing.
Okay.
Yeah. We designed our rings together.
Oh, nice.
So beautiful.
That's
Nice.
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 Congratulations.
Yeah, cute.
Wow,
Thank
that's
you.
some scary stuff.
So I
there.
hope no family and friends are listening today.
Yes, true, very true.
Now I'm so curious to give my spending to Lexi and to see what it says about me.
I know. Well, that's pretty amazing. I guess what we want to do now, Emily B and Emily T, is just get your view and thoughts on how you're currently managing your money, your current sort of financial setup. So if you were to sort of describe how you think about money and I guess how you're spending, or I guess how you're approaching your money and spending, how would you describe that?
I guess we think about money in two ways. We want to enjoy life, go traveling, drink great wine, go on holidays whenever we want. But then we also do want to save. I'm very much into investing. I love learning about that. We like budgeting for our home renos. We want to pay off our house as soon as we can, but we don't want to compromise on enjoying our time here.
Yeah. We definitely want to live in the moment, but we also want to live for tomorrow a little bit.
I love that. I also think a lot of people will resonate with that. You know, go traveling, drink wine whenever you want, you know, have the holidays, but also then set yourself up for your future. If you were to, I guess, prioritize it and say what's your number one financial goal at the moment, is there one that stands out?
Yeah, we thought about this a lot, and it basically comes down to we want to build up enough equity that we can buy a property that would be our living property, and the house we're in now would become our investment property.
So Lexi, when you hear all of that and you've gone away and had a look at their actual spending and whatnot, what does the sort of spending say, I guess, against their goals and how they think they're spending?
Coming to that comment about wanting to live for today but also set yourselves up for the future is a conversation I have with actually most people. I don't think you're surprised by that. But I think I really want to set the scene for this conversation because I can sense that, and this is the case with most people, that you're a bit nervous about what we might find. And I want to, like, the overarching comment here is you guys
We're
are
terrified.
you guys are doing really well. I am impressed.
Is the segment dead?
Yeah, that's the episode.
That's the episode.
And we'll see you next week. So, yeah, I really want you to actually be proud of yourselves. And we're going to go through the numbers and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some things. And, yeah, everyone can probably tweak some things. But when we have confidence in our decisions and what we're doing, I actually find that the outcome and the results are better as well because mindset's so important.
So how do you feel about that, Emily and Emily? Did you expect Lexi to come out and say that you're well on track before we get into some of the nitty-gritty numbers?
I really appreciate the praise and the validation.
Now, the bad news.
Is this like the, what do they call that sandwich?
Oh, the compliment
the
sandwich.
compliment sandwich. But
we've had the lovely bread.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Let's
Lexi, let's
get
get
to
into
the
it.
meat.
Where do you want to start?
I like to play a little game with my clients to see how well they do know their spending, and maybe it's better than you think, or maybe it's not so good. So when we talk about eating out or dining out, I can't differentiate a palmy and a beer from just a palmy. So eating out actually includes drinks as well. If you've gone to, say, a bottle shop though, that would be categorized as alcohol. So when I say to you, What do you think you're spending per week on eating out? What would you say, combined for both of you, per week?
Maybe 100
I'm going to say 100.
or 150.
$230.
Oh, my gosh. What a hit.
But I wouldn't necessarily say that that is an unreasonable spend, particularly if it's something that you value and that you're getting a lot of joy out of. And it's a little bit of the stage of life. So I know that I used to spend more on eating out because now going out to eat with kids is torture. So we don't do a lot of
Leave
it.
the
It's
kids
more
at
like, how do I do? Are you coming to babysit? So I do find that those without children might spend more on eating out or equal to eating out for a family of 4. So my family of 4 actually spends less on eating out than you, but we're at a completely different stage of life. So it's not apples for apples. What about groceries? What do you think we're averaging per week?
I would say 200.
I'm going to say 250.
$190.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We know, though, that eating out on average is 5 times more expensive. So if we were to bring down that eating out spend, groceries would probably come up a bit. What about alcohol? So this does include wineries, potentially. So what do you think you're spending on average per week on alcohol?
Well, we did dry Feb, so that would lowered our average.
Nice.
So it would actually be higher. And I can probably see that.
Uh-oh.
150 to 200. What would you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say yeah.
I'm now looking at the weekly breakdown and I can see that dry February there. So it has obviously impacted the average. It's only 60 per week.
Wow.
Nice.
But if we were to take out dry Feb, the figures might look a little bit different. Then we've got retail. So retail is anything that you buy at the shops that's not edible, really. But what do you think that you might be spending on average per week on retail?
Well, you kind of dropped a hint.
Yeah, larger than we'd expect.
Yeah. It's going to be more than it should be.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 70.
I'm going to say 100.
190.
Oh,
I'll tell you
What are we-
what's included in that.
what are we doing?
It includes Mr. Zimmy.
Wait, it includes what?
Mr. Zimmy.
Ah, that's you as well. That's me.
Uh-oh.
A couple of Amazon purchases.
That's you. Security cameras.
Then we've got fuel. Do either of you have a novated lease by any chance? Or are you very close to work?
I work from home now.
Awesome. And so your fuel per week is 55, which, I do these analyses every single day for different clients. And fuel's pretty expensive these days. 55 per week for 2 people is pretty good.
Yeah,
Nice.
that seems impressive.
Nice.
I was going to touch on gambling as well. Obviously, a very discretionary expense. If you were to continue gambling the same way as you have in the last 3 months, it would be about $1,300 a year. So you may decide, knowing with that information, rather than putting $1,300 towards gambling, maybe we put $1,300 a year towards shares,
But,
as an example.
Lexi, you haven't asked the most important question. Maybe
is
they're
that?
winning money gambling.
Well,
Are you guys?
I did see one little win, but the statistics, we're a numbers people here, the statistics tell us that we're
So-
better off not gambling.
Okay. What do you think about that, Emily and Emily?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I am
not
not
a gambler.
I just didn't even buy a lotto ticket until I was with Em. She sent me to the supermarket and said, "Can you buy me a lotto ticket?"
Dun, dun.
And the woman had how to buy a lotto ticket. So that is not me.
Yeah. That's
But I also support your decision.
So they were the main categories of expenses that I wanted to go through with you. Obviously, there are other categories, but for the purposes of what we're doing today, they're the ones I wanted to touch on. I was very impressed, though, to see that you guys are investing 16.5% of your after-tax income. So that's about $450 a week if we average it out. I know you're not consistently doing the $450 a week, but you're doing more lump sums. But that's awesome.
Yeah,
That is
well done.
awesome.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah.
Yay.
That's me though.
I have my good things and my bad things.
So when we look at what has happened over this period, you have had more outflows than inflows. And that is because of the larger purchases. So engagement rings was 7,500. Home improvements, landscaping and Bunnings, I've kind of put them all together, about 18,000. Travel, including your Bali trip, of 7,000. And a car purchase, I think, in there as well. Is that right? Yeah. Those figures there were just things that had happened in the last quarter. When I look at your normal living expenses as best I can with that limited information that I have, your normal expenses are sitting at around $75,000 a year. So that includes all your consumables. So you're eating out as, you know, you're currently spending, your groceries, your utilities, insurances, bills, health and fitness, transport, retail, entertainment. They were all included in that figure of about 75,000. Your mortgage is on top of that. So we know that you are transferring more than you have to towards your mortgage. But if we just look at the minimum repayments plus the loan that you have to a family member, that works out to be around about $60,000 a year. So if we add those together, we're looking at expenses of $135,000. So you're bringing in $150,000 after tax, roughly, spending $135,000 on normal living expenses. So you've got this $15,000 buffer to do other things like travel, like investing. So that's where my comment comes from, that I think you guys are doing better than you think you're doing.
Does that surprise you, Emily, to hear that you've actually got this nice buffer to, I guess, put to work or, work towards that goal of buying the second property?
Yes and no. Like, we're kind of thrifty in some ways.
Yeah.
And we do cut where we can. Obviously, there are some things that we could cut more.
Like, we really don't need a cake. Cut it. Yeah.
Speaking of being thrifty, sorry to interrupt there, but I just want to highlight phone bills, $30 each per month.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's impressive. Yeah.
And it is those little things, they do add up. So
Yeah, who are you with?
Yeah, we're with Woolies.
Oh, with Woolies.
Nice,
Oh, nice. So I guess if we just pause here and check in on how you both are feeling, we've sort of peeled back the first layer of your spending and, now we're going to get into Lexi looking for areas of improvement. But before we do, just give us a sense of how you're feeling. Were there any surprises in there? Was it all sort of aligned with what you expected? How do you feel about it being public on a podcast? Just give us a sense of how you're going.
I think the thing that shocked me the most was the retail spend and just realizing that those little purchases add up. I did not realize that I was spending that much. Eating out, I guess, was a little bit higher than expected, but it is something we value.
that's a perfect segue for me, Emily, about what we value and what we spend our money on. I've got a little activity that I get most of my clients to do. It doesn't take a long time and anyone listening to this can do it themselves. I call it the traffic light activity. And so what this involves is having a look at your recent transactions and highlight every transaction one of three colours. So green is for the things that you had to buy. So when your undies had holes in them, that transaction, it's a green, no brainer. Then we've got red transactions. So when you see that you went to Adairs and you bought something just because it was on sale and looking at that, you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't have bought that. That might be a red. And then we've got orange or amber, and that's for anything that sits in the middle. It's debatable. You could argue either way. And what that will give you is a very visual illustration of what your spending habits are actually like and how they match your values. So eating out, as an example, maybe you went out for an anniversary. That could be green. Or maybe you bought lunch when you knew you had leftovers in the fridge at home. Then you were then going to have to throw away. That might be a red. So it's not like all eating out has to be red or orange. It can definitely be green. So take 10, 15 minutes, like it doesn't have to be a time-consuming exercise. Just take a little bit of time, even when you're watching something on Netflix at night, to go through your transactions and look at that visual picture. Is it really, really green with a trickle of orange and red? Or is it really orange and red with a trickle of green? And it's only once you've done that you'll be able to determine, are you spending in line with your values for the retail and the eating out categories, and how much can we bring them down?
We're going to take a quick pause here and say a thank you to today's sponsor, PocketSmith.
We all know the cost of living is biting hard right now. Groceries, rent, insurance, you name it. And when money feels tighter, getting across your budget becomes way more important. That's where PocketSmith comes in.
PocketSmith is a personal finance tool that helps you track your income, spending, and plan ahead. It connects to your bank accounts and automatically categorizes your transactions so you can actually see where your money's going each month.
If you've got big goals like saving for a house, building an emergency fund, or just trying to avoid blowing your Uber Eats budget, this is super useful.
If you're juggling side hustles, investments, or even accounts in different currencies, PocketSmith makes it easy to keep track of everything in one place.
We love that it gives you a full view of your net worth with integrations like ShareSite for tracking your investments too.
Love that. Well, if you'd like to manage your money like a pro, PocketSmith has a special deal for Equity Mates listeners. Get 50% off your first 2 months of PocketSmith's foundation plan. To get your deal, go to pocketsmith.com/equitymates. But if you want to get it for free, you can submit to Boost My Budget at equitymates.com/contact. And if you come on the show, PocketSmith will give you an annual subscription for free.
A massive thank you to PocketSmith for supporting Boost My Budget and helping us keep all of our content here on Get Started Investing free.
Well, let's move to the boosting the budget, conversation, Lexi, because Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you guys have any form of budget at the moment?
No, Em loves budgets. And I'm not allowed to start the budget because Em gets so excited about starting budgets, but then she gets overwhelmed.
Nice. So you love budgets, you don't have one, but you really want one.
I actually want to start with a question here, and it will feel a little bit unrelated, but what do all four of you do to stay active, if at all? What is it?
I do gym and golf and walk to work.
Very active. I like it.
I have ticked over 30, so like every 30-year-old these days, I've started running a bit. So
Run club?
Yeah, not run club.
Not
no,
yet.
no,
Yet.
not social running, but yeah, that's probably my main one.
And how about Emily and Emily?
Yoga. Em, now that I've also ticked over 30, Em makes me go to HIIT classes.
Yeah, and I just do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
You're
Love
insane.
yoga, love a hit, love running.
So what we've established is that there are multiple ways to be active. There are also multiple ways to manage your money. So for you guys, it might be that being across your spending and having a bit of a pulse check every now and again might result in the same outcome, as in continuing to do what you're doing because it's working. But if you want to tweak things, so if you had a more ambitious goal to get to that investment property sooner and you really wanted to knuckle down, you can certainly start to map out, say, the next 12 months and look at, well, these are the expenses we know we have. This is what we would like to spend in these areas. How much do we have left? And then how does that play into us reaching our goals? But I don't want anyone, for you guys or anyone listening, to feel bad about not having a budget. It doesn't mean you are not financially literate. It doesn't mean you aren't kicking goals. It doesn't mean you don't have a really bright financial future. So really acknowledging that, but still wanting to keep your finger on the pulse and know what's happening.
How do you guys feel about that? I feel like you're itching to actually have a budget.
I love control.
Yeah.
So I would love to work out a system that works for me. Budgeting to the dollar does not work for me.
Yeah, using this data that we now have, because if you were to sit down and do some kind of a plan without this data and you put in for, say, eating out that was 100 a week, we know it's double that or more than double that. So that's where a lot of people come undone, because the budget that or the cash flow plan or whatever, the spending plan, whatever you want to call it, whatever it looks like, if it's rubbish in, it's rubbish out type thing. So now that you're really clear on that, we can take that next step and try and map out, say, the next 12 months ahead. Not a strict budget, but that could then play into some automation. Yeah, we can certainly take things to the next step.
If we do take it to the next step then. So I guess you've established what some of the annual expenses are around eating out, groceries, alcohol, retail, fuel, gambling, etc. What would you be looking at there to sort of say some of the big wins, I guess, to go towards, I guess, freeing up cash flow?
At the moment, your private health insurance premiums are about $6,500 a year. And that's not very unusual these days. And it may be that you have a higher level of cover for a specific personal reason. But going through, and has it been a little while since you have reviewed X, Y, and Z insurances? And are you paying a loyalty tax? Like, there might be room to move there with your more fixed expenses. But then you might even set yourselves a challenge for those more discretionary expenses. So I love to get clients to do a 5-day no spend challenge. It's a bit of, I don't do juice detoxes, but that's what it makes me think of. It's like a short and sharp, extreme way to do things. And over those 5 days, you would still buy groceries and get fuel and pay your bills and all that stuff, but you wouldn't spend anything on eating out, retail, or entertainment. And so I find that those people who think it's going to be easy typically find it hard, and those who think it's going to be hard typically find it easy. But it's a really good reset and realization of how often we just tap, 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 or are mindlessly shopping at night in bed or whatever it might be. So there's little things that you can do along the way to slowly improve things without actually doing a budget. But the grass is greener where you water it, right?
Emily, so having heard that, how often do you actually sit down and review things like health insurance and the like, if at all?
Oh, I would say we do review subscriptions and that fairly regularly. I'm always looking for a better deal. When it comes to health insurance, I think I've been a bit lazy because
we've definitely been very complacent about health insurance.
we just went with teachers' health easy at the time.
And there are some comparison sites these days, the government organised comparison sites. So the private health one, maybe we can include it in the show notes, privatehealth.gov.au. They've got all of the policies that are available in Australia. And then if you're looking at energy, electricity, there's also Energy Made Easy in most states. So yeah, it's finding the time to sit down and do that life admin that no one actually likes doing, including me. But if it's going to mean that you can hit your goals faster, then having someone to be accountable to around this stuff also helps, which is some of what financial coaching involves as well. So I hope that helps you really feel better about your financial situation and then have some really bite-sized next steps.
And so in this instance for Emily and Emily, you're saying if all things continue as they are and they were just to put away the remaining cash at the end of each pay, they should theoretically have a $15,000 surplus or thereabout sitting in a savings account.
It's going to depend on their travel plans as well, because that $15,000 surplus is for, say, home improvements, if they're not using the equity in the home, travel, one-off expenses. So if you need to go and buy a $4,000 lounge suite, that's going to come from that $15,000. But your expenses of $75,000, they could come down a little bit if we got things like eating out and retail down. So at least now we know what levers we can pull for things to look a little bit different or to optimize things.
In terms of working towards our goal to get enough equity so that we can buy a second property, how deluded are we?
We don't have the data around your assets and your debts. We've just looked at your cash flow. So that's hard to answer, but you're going about it the right way in that you've got a surplus and that you are currently making higher than the minimum mortgage repayments as well. So, and you're still investing. And this is just getting clear. You guys are good at this.
Getting there.
So I guess the answer to that then, Lexi, would it be that of that surplus, if the goal is to just build up as much equity as possible, would it not be just put as much of that surplus into the property until they have the equity that they need?
It's quite a common strategy to house extra surplus in, say, an offset account or a redraw, because then it is available if something comes up. Let's say someone's getting married overseas unexpectedly. You can then make the call at that point about what you want to do with that money. Or maybe you want to invest a portion. But yeah, it's a little bit boring, but boring isn't always a bad thing, is it?
No.
So then I guess the final step around implementation is what happens after you do all this initial setup, initial review, and initial changes. How often should Emily and Emily be re-reviewing and checking in and doing this exercise again?
I do my own once a year, and that's just the sweet spot for me. Some of my clients, we will check in every 6 months or every quarter. Yeah, I would say you will probably notice a natural change in your spending, just being aware of these figures. So if we were to repeat this in, say, 3 months, maybe that's even another podcast episode to see how things have changed over those 3 months.
Just the next time and have no technological issues.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
I think that would be good because it feels like to where we've got to today is really, I guess, helping you, Emily and Emily, understand a bit more about where your money is going. And it doesn't sound like there's been too many crazy surprises there. And from what Lexi was saying, there's sort of like no right or wrong in terms of what budget works best for everyone. There's no sort of one size fits all. So I guess the homework goes back on you guys in a way, now that you know that these are the big categories, how you want to go about managing your money on a quarterly basis, or if it's every time you get paid, and potentially getting you back in the studio to do it. I guess a Where Are They Now episode. Because I think a lot of people would learn from that, because I'm sure a lot of people are listening now in a very similar position, don't have a budget, but want to think about what works best for them.
Yeah, once you find out what your categories are that maybe could do with some tweaking, you will naturally become a more, what I would describe as mindful and intentional spender. And you will even tie that in with that traffic light activity. When you're going to buy something, a retail purchase, you're thinking to yourself, is this green? If it is, just buy it. If it's orange or red, think twice about it before you do it.
It's dangerous. All of my spending's about to be green. So Emily and Emily, we've given you a lot of information. I say we. Lexi's given you a lot of information, a lot to think about. Bryce and I haven't done too much. How are you thinking about everything? And I guess what were some of your big takeaways from today?
Well, number one, I am extremely competitive, but Em is probably also the most competitive person I know. So if you were to have us back in 3 months, there would be no red.
We will win.
This is going to show the value of accountability.
So what would winning look like to you guys if you just put a 3-month time frame on it? So obviously the long-term goal of getting the forever home isn't realistic in the next 3 months. But in terms of cash flow and how much you save, what would the goal be?
I guess it would be to increase income, which will happen for us because Em just got a promotion.
Woohoo!
Nice.
And then just decrease the unnecessary purchases, which we do make from time to time, like saying before, if we have food in the fridge, but sometimes it's just convenient to eat out.
Yeah, being really conscious, just those categories.
Yeah, way more mindful. Probably cutting the going out for drinks, getting rid of the gambling because I'm not winning. And not letting...
Don't let Dad use your sports bet.
Oh, the truth comes out.
Nice. Well, I think we've done enough of a lead up then that we should get you back in 3 months to see where you are at. I think we will also share all the data with you if we haven't already, and we very much look forward to seeing how you've won when you come back in 3 months' time.
So Emily and Emily, to help you on your journey, to help you win over the next 3 months, we're working with the spend tracking platform PocketSmith, and as part of their support to help the Equity Mates community get on top of their spending, they are giving everyone who comes on Boost My Budget free access for a year. So we'll get you set up, and you can track all your spending and put your traffic lights against it. And if you're watching or listening and you want to join us for the next Boost My Budget and get access to a year of PocketSmith free, so Lexi can look over your shoulder as well, then hit us up at equitymates.com/contact. And we'll be in touch to get you on the show.
But we will leave it there. Thank you so much, firstly, to both of you, Emily and Emily, for being the first participants for Boost My Budget. We really, really do appreciate you coming on, sharing everything with us. And I know a lot of people listening would have taken a lot out of today's episode. So thank you so much. And equally, Lexi, thank you so much as well. I've learned a lot today, as I'm sure many listeners have as well. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, and thank you, Lexi.
Thank you, Lexi.